Thank you for double-clicking your mouse tonight. You're listening to the Midnight Frightcast in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, horror fans. For those of you waking up from your Saturday night hangover, we are here in the basement studio on a dark and stormy Sunday for episode 66. Well, it was dark and stormy when I was driving over here. Now it's just windy. But either way, I am Maddie, and joining us on the tablet from Omaha, we got Greg.
What is up?
And we got Patrick.
Hey, everybody, how's it going?
And across from me, we got Josh.
I have quite the Saturday hangover.
I'm sure you do.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
My hangover is awful.
Yeah.
Well, the Huskers got beat again.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's my hangover.
I don't think you can call it a beating. I think you can call it a massacre.
No, it was not like the massacres that, Nebraska used to deal out where the points were in the 60s.
It could have been.
It could have been a lot worse.
We basically got shut out 48-0 for a while there.
Yeah,
today,
it could have been a lot worse.
Don't be a horror fan. Be a football fan. Listen to the football cast.
Yeah.
I'm just going to talk about the Huskers for the next hour.
No. I can't do that.
Yeah,
a real horror show.
Didn't bring my heartburn medication. We've got a fun cast for you guys today. We just watched a trailer. What did we watch? We watched The Shed.
The Shed.
If you Google that or if you search for that on YouTube, you'll find a lot of ways to build a shed. So make sure you are looking up The Shed trailer. What do we think?
Well, you're right, because I did learn how to build a shed very quickly when I looked that movie up. But once I found the trailer, it has a very horror comedy vibe to it. I don't know if it's horror comedy though. It has this weird horror comedy vibe to it. I wanted to laugh at it, but I wasn't sure if I was supposed to.
Yeah, I don't think that it was necessarily meant to be a comedy horror or horror comedy, whichever way you want to look at that. But there was definitely some humorous lines in there.
Yeah.
I don't think that necessarily they were going for a horror comedy, but if you can add in some lighter moments, that's always a good thing.
Right.
I think it almost kind of had to me like a Jennifer's body feel, where it was kind of funny, but you still kind of had more of that element. I think it looks fun.
Yeah, anybody ever seen the movie All the Boys Love Mandy Lane? It has that vibe to it, to me. I don't know if you've seen the movie or not.
I see that, Josh. I can see that now that you mentioned that.
So yeah, it's got, I took horror comedy from it, but again, it was the kind of thing that I wasn't sure if I was supposed to laugh at it or not, so I didn't. I just kept the laughter inside.
You know what? Any response is an honest response, so you should have just laughed.
I should have, right? But It's got a lot of mystery behind the trailer also, because they have all these great shots of the shed, but never show what's inside the shed.
I mean, it makes you... They definitely did not give away what's up with the shed, other than it kills the fuck out of people.
Right.
I think it'd be kind of fun if they never showed what's in the shed, because I feel like there's so many movies like Signs is one of them where it's good up until they show what's going on, and then you're like, what is this stupid thing?
And there's enough monster movies that it's really good until they show the monster, and then you're just disappointed because it's not what's worked up in your head, or it's just really shitty CGI or something like that.
That's kind of how The Quiet Place was to me, where I wasn't having a good time until the monster showed up, but the second they showed him, I was like, what is this demon flower? I don't care.
I mean, it's an indie film, so I don't even know CGI wise or whatever how much money they'd be able to pour into it, but it's playing indie festivals. That's probably where she said she found it off of a horror
upcoming
Facebook page,
upcoming horror movies.
I've been seeing it all over festival circuits,
right, because I'd seen a news piece about it that some production company picked it up after they saw it at a festival. Yeah.
So it's going around on the festival circuit right now.
I think that's the way to go anymore. Honestly, I see more praise from festival picked movies than the big Hollywood ones anymore.
Right.
So yeah, that's how you can get noticed. Cool.
That's how you gotta have some money to donate to the festival.
Yeah. Did we have a date that this was?
That's what I just looked up online, and all it says is 2019. but I'm assuming it probably won't hit theaters till 2020 if it's still doing the festival circuit.
Don't even know if it'd go to a theater. I better go straight to VOD.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I'm thinking VOD.
Greg, what is your football? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, but yeah. What's the football update there, Greg?
What's the score?
That was
What's the score?
ESPN chiming in for me.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was just an update on the Rams Buccaneers game that's about to start here. So I was intrigued by it. I really feel like it definitely is worth checking out. So whenever that pops into theaters, I want to hit it up. I definitely agree with felt like a horror comedy vibe, excuse me. But it was mostly the first half of the trailer. Once you actually discover the shed and the creature or whatever is in that shed, it took a quick 180, and I'm really, again, intrigued to see what that movie's going to be all about. So definitely put me on board to check out The Shed.
You know what I kind of liked about this is, like, a lot of times when they have movies where there's, like, high school characters, the high school characters look like in their 30s,
Yep.
and these kids actually look like they could probably
Pretty
be
close.
Yeah,
to
pretty
it.
close.
I think they were a little older.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a
I'd say
little
20s,
bit, but
yeah.
not quite as bad as the
Right.
like person who, like, you can tell has had a facelift and they're in high school, and you're like,
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah.
I mean, when you work with high schoolers, that's one of the things that you notice in every movie is if it's not age, I don't want to say age appropriate, but yeah, that's kind of what it is.
Right.
Where the actor's not age appropriate for that role.
Yeah. But I'm down. I'll totally check out The
Oh,
Shed.
yeah.
Yeah,
this
it
looks
seems like
fun.
something
It looks
I'd
cool.
watch.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, 2019, whether or not it has a theatrical release, we don't know.
yeah. So I'm guessing it's going to be a VOD kind of
Yeah.
drop thing.
I'll put money on that.
So, yeah, cool.
Well, awesome. So we'll drop The Shed on our Facebook page so you don't have to learn how to, assemble a shed from YouTube. But let's move on. And since Craig's not here, we're not going to do the obnoxious thing.
The what?
No.
The what?
The what?
No.
The what?
No, I won't do it.
If you don't say the word,
It's the news.
News.
I tried so hard.
You
I
didn't
didn't
even
say
say
it.
the word.
I didn't
Delay
say
there.
it. I didn't. Fuck. Who's got news?
who does have news? We really talked about
I have
that
news,
before.
but Josh, I think you should probably talk about the one that affected you the most.
I mean, I have a couple written down, but are you talking about the Tony Todd thing?
No,
Oh, yeah, let's
the
take
sad,
it.
the sad
yeah,
news
yeah,
of the week.
No.
Yeah. So just a really quick thing because so I never met him. I had friends that have definitely met him at festivals or at conventions. So last Saturday, Sid Haig passed away. He was really sick. I guess that's one of the main reasons he was not in 3 from Hell very much was because he was very sick. And he had conversations with Rob Zombie about it probably being his last film or his last on-screen performance. And so like almost like he knew it was coming down the line anyway. But yeah, Sid Haig passed away. So that's kind of a bummer for me because I had seen him at a convention in Minnesota. And he was the one person that I didn't get to go over and at least say hi to.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't make my way over there. So that's kind of a shitty thing because I wish I would have. Sometimes I see those people at conventions and I'm a little bit intimidated and I don't
Yeah.
want to go like over there and say anything. So I leave it alone. Other people are like, "Oh my god, I'm going to be in line for 2 hours."
Yeah.
I just can't do it. But yeah, that one I'm kind of bummed about not walking over and at least saying hi because they're so cool. Like all those celebrities at those things are super, super cool and willing to talk to you and everything. And from what I've heard just from little stories, he was a person that would literally sit down and have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah. And there's still some questions, surrounding his death, that type of thing, because his wife had posted that he was back home. He was doing really, really well. He was recuperating. And then, according to another report, he had fallen because there was a
Yeah.
report of him going into the ICU. They believe that what had happened is he developed a lung infection
Gotcha.
due to that injury, and that's what actually killed him as opposed to an illness prior to that.
Gotcha.
But there's, like I said, there's still questions. There's been no official release of the cause of death.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if anybody else. I don't know. You did the convention thing once in a while, didn't you, Maddie? Didn't you used to do that?
I just went to the Omaha ones, and I've
Okay.
been to one in Portland, whatever shithole I used to live in.
Gotcha.
And I never met him, but I heard that he was just a really cool,
Yeah.
laid-back guy.
Yeah.
So, that definitely sucks.
It was really interesting seeing all the tributes on Facebook with people that you and I know posting pictures of them with him,
Right.
and then just a paragraph or something about their interaction with him and how cool of a guy he was.
And they put a really cool tribute video out to him, and
Rob Zombie did a really nice little tribute to him as well.
So,
yeah.
It's a bummer, but he did a lot. I didn't realize how long his career stretched, and I also didn't realize that he had given up on acting until Rob Zombie brought him back in to do House of a Thousand Corpses. He was over it, and he just wasn't getting any roles anymore, and he got a nice little late kickstart again when he started doing the Rob Zombie movies. So that's a cool thing that he had this thing that he about never giving up, and he always gave us never give up speeches. Like, I stopped doing this for so long, and then I got another chance, and it's again, for somebody that never met him or didn't know him, in interviews he seems like a really cool guy.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. He kind of almost had a reverse, because a lot of actors, I feel you see them really early in their careers. They're in a lot of horror movies, and then they kind of move on to other genres, and he was almost kind of the reverse.
Right.
Where, I mean, he did play in horror back when he was younger, but it seems like his later career was all horror, which is awesome.
Yeah. So, that's...
Very
thank you for
sad.
bringing it up, because I totally forgot.
Yeah.
So...
I think we should do one of our episodes should be a Sid Haig movie.
Yeah, we talked about doing
yeah.
House of a Thousand Corpses, and then just never did it. So
yeah.
Other news? I got other news too, but I mean, we can move on to somebody else's. Who's got?
Yeah,
news?
I want to beat Maddie to the punch on this one. That Pornhub has released an alien sex tape. Yes, that's right. I said Pornhub has released an alien sex tape. And,
is that from the Area 51 thing?
Yes, it is.
Oh my
It says Pornhub has, quote unquote, discovered a found footage film titled Pornhub Raids Area 51 that features two porn stars raiding Area 51 and then having sex with an alien.
That is hands down my favorite company. Like, they do the best shit. Like, on Earth Day, for every video that's watched, they plant a tree. They're an awesome fucking company.
Right. You started this with dick pics. I blame you for all this.
Well, and you talk about porn a lot there, Maddie. So, like I said, I just wanted to beat you to the punch. Not necessarily the donkey punch, but the punch.
Thank you for bringing the porn into our horror, Maddie.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. So that's my news.
Wow. I actually didn't know that. But, my life has been expanded.
But I know what you're going to watch when you get home.
No one messaged me for like 15 minutes when I get back. Greg, do you have anything?
Nothing that can top that. Nope.
Nothing.
Well, I'm not trying to top anything. So I without trying to, I can't top that. But I did want to talk about the Tony Todd Candyman news for a second.
Yeah.
Tony Todd, it's apparently has they wrapped Candyman, Jordan Peele's Candyman remake, and apparently Tony Todd came back and played Candyman in that movie. But they said when it was first being made that he was going to have a small but show-stopping role in this movie, but they had cast somebody else as Candyman. So I'll be curious to see what they do, or if they were just trying to hide the fact that Tony Todd was playing him, and they didn't want to release that news until after the fact. But if that's the case for real, like that, I'm way on board now for the new Candyman movie. Usually I'm not like, if you're going to remake a movie, just recast the whole thing. But Tony Todd's Candyman. There's nobody else who's going to do it. And maybe Patrick and I were talking about it when we were driving up to Omaha on Friday about how they could do two Candymans, but that doesn't, with his storyline, it doesn't work that way. Like if he's Candyman in this movie, he's Candyman and nobody else. There's not going to be another one. So, I don't know. I'll be curious to see.
Yeah, how they...
Because the studio didn't confirm that. It was not confirmed that he played Candyman. But if that's the case, I'm way on board now for Candyman. So, And my only other thing was, speaking of Quiet Place, they just wrapped Quiet Place 2.
Yep,
So
I saw that.
that is done filming. I wrote down that I'm trying to get used to not loving this idea. Because I was a huge fan. I know you didn't like A Quiet Place. I dug the shit out of A Quiet Place, minus the creature part of A Quiet Place. I did not enjoy the look of those creatures. But I'm trying to get used to not loving this idea of making a sequel that I feel like doesn't need a sequel, and is just a cash cow sequel. And I feel like it's going to ruin what A Quiet Place was.
If you go off of that same theory there, that's what most horror sequels are. Most horror sequels don't require a sequel, but if they do really well, you know it's a guaranteed going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but some of those also leave you, at the end of those movies, they leave you setting up for a sequel, and A Quiet Place didn't do that. There's no spot in that movie ended. Mm-hmm. There's no spot in that movie that was like, well, there could be a sequel. It was, there was
my
an ending to
understanding
that
it's
movie.
like not even associated with his family. Like it's like that it's another family.
No,
a different story.
Everybody's coming back for it except
Really?
for
Well,
John Krasinski. And Cillian Murphy
Krasinski
is in it now as another random guy.
Okay.
It is exploring other families. That's what they're doing. They're going to out to see, like, it's like a Walking Dead episode. Basically, it's like, oh, other survivors. We should go find them and see what's happening. And that's what I'm going to hate about it. I don't want a Quiet Place Walking Dead episode. I want to watch a movie about the characters that were well developed in A Quiet Place, and that those characters, those stories ended. So there's nothing else to tell. I don't care anymore about that baby that was born or anything else really about that family. Their story was wrapped, and there's a good place to end that movie.
Josh, I have a question.
I might have a quick answer. I don't know.
So you said John Krasinski's not in this at all. He's not doing any like flashback scenes or anything like that, and he's just like not a part of this movie outside of, or in like cast wise. He's only crew.
I couldn't answer that question. I know he's a writer and director on it. I don't see why he would do a flashback sequence with him in it. There's again no reason to do that. We all know what happened to him and where his character ended up, and he got a full story. Right. There's no real need to flashback to show anything else that he did in that movie. It's a move forward movie. If they're going to make that movie, it's move forward.
Sure,
which sounds like that's what they're doing. I'm really afraid of them making a Walking Dead episode of A Quiet Place.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I've got one thing real quick. The cable company US Dish is offering $1,300 for anyone who will watch 13 Stephen King movies before Halloween, and they want the person who's going to do this to like write about their experience and all of that sort of stuff. The 13 movies would be Carrie, Children of the Corn, Christine, Creepshow, Cujo, Dreamcatcher, It, The Mist, Pet Sematary, Salem's Lot, The Shining, Thinner, and Misery. If you are interested in doing that, you can head on over to the US Dish website. There is a form there that you can fill out by October 15th.
That's through Dish Network.
Mm-hmm.
Is this like a ploy to get people to subscribe?
That's
to Dish
what
Network?
that's what I was thinking. Like, I looked at the form and it said like, are you currently a Dish customer?
Yeah.
And I was like, I bet if you click no, you will get nonstop fucking emails.
Yeah, because you have to use your email to log in or to sign up and everything else. So yeah, it's definitely it's just to get.
Oh yeah. Well, like
Videos.
everybody's not everybody, but a lot of people are moving away from cable. So I think they're like, hey, if we give these kids free shit, maybe they'll like be interested.
Right. They're only picking one person?
Yeah, they're just picking
One person.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically you log on there and like see. I don't know. I actually put in a form because I've done worse shit for $1,300 and watched like some Stephen King movies. So I'm like, like show up to work every day. But Greg?
Yeah, I actually went in and...
Did you do it too?
Yep, I signed up for it, and my 200-word essay that you have to supply was basically all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
You just put that over and over and over again.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway, Greg, did you say you had something? It doesn't need to be as
No,
cool.
I'm not.
Okay, I was going to say it doesn't need to be as cool as the Area 51 porn. We'd forgive you.
Really don't have anything, but whatever I came up with wouldn't be as good as that.
All right, well, we are going to wrap up that segment.
What segment was that?
No, that segment.
She didn't say it.
The current events.
Current events.
That was the news.
Current events.
We're going to call it current events.
We're going to call it current events from now on.
That's good.
Since we just did our current events segment, we all know what's next. What have we been watching? Anyone want to start us off?
Yes, just really quick. I've just been watching a bunch of Hulu as the new season premieres have ramped up this past week. So I watched my episode 1 of whatever current season of my shows are. I started watching Veronica Mars. I'd never seen the series before, so I started with episode 1 on that. And then I haven't gotten to the second episode of it yet, but I did catch the first episode of American Horror Story 1984. They're going to have to wow me with episode 2 because, quite frankly, episode 1 for me was kind of meh.
Let's come back to that because I'm sure Greg's going to mention the same thing. I'm going to bring it up as
Yes,
well.
yes, I will.
Yep. So that was it for what I've been watching.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, really, same thing I said kind of last week is I have been sitting out. I'm sitting on the bench for watching horror because our 31-day challenge is coming up. And I'm trying not to burn myself out before we get to that. So, like Patrick, my big thing that I'm watching right now is American Horror Story, 1984. But I also revisited some American Horror Story other seasons. And then I started Apocalypse. Did anybody watch Apocalypse?
Oh, yeah.
Did you watch that?
All the way through.
Greg, did you watch Apocalypse?
I watched the first 2 or 3 episodes, and it lost me, like, immediately.
Yeah, I'm not digging Apocalypse at all. Somebody tell me it gets better. I'm going to drop out.
To me, the best part of Apocalypse was the fact that they went back and visited other seasons. So they would like go back to the murder house. They went back to the coven.
Okay.
And some other things like that. So they make some more solid connections to the other seasons.
Okay. So I started watching Apocalypse, and I'm so far not feeling it, which is kind of a bummer. Because like I said, American Horror Story is batting about a 50% for me right now.
Yep.
So yeah, but then, we'll come back to 1984 because I started watching that also. So
I've also been taking a little bit of a horror break, not really because I don't want to get burned out on it, but more I am trying to save like new movies for the 31 Days of Horror.
yeah, there it is.
I think I mentioned, as I said, the first episode I was on, about 97% of what I watch is horror. Well, at least another 1.5 of what I watch is trash TV. So I've been watching Intervention for like
That's a great show.
for like ever. I've been watching it like all week, and they're all the same. And I sit there and I'm like, why am I watching this? I've literally watched the same story.
But it's kind of different though when they switch to the Canadian publishing or producing company for that.
Okay, well, on Hulu, they only have like season 14 on. Okay. So, no, maybe it's like 13. Yeah, they only have season 13 on, so I don't really know. I don't know what country is publishing it, but yeah, I've been watching that, and then I watched this lovely 80s-ish movie called Orgasmo.
Oh,
it's a great fucking movie.
It's so funny.
Oh my God, I love Orgasmo.
Yeah, it's been sitting around our house for like ever, and my boyfriend finally was like, okay, we need to watch this. And yeah, I was like, this is great.
Are you a South Park fan?
Not really, but
Okay.
I'm not a huge animated anything fan.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Gotcha.
Dad, I don't think I'm going to do hamster style anymore.
I stopped watching South Park, but there's a great documentary on YouTube called 6 Days to Air.
Oh, yeah.
And that's about a making of how they basically make an episode of South Park in 6 days.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, really good.
And they will change something from the day before.
Mm-hmm.
If something in the news happens the day
Right.
before they air, they will get it changed and get it on air by. That's insane.
So that's a really cool documentary. Orgasmo. I mean, I haven't seen that in a million years.
Yeah, as I said, it's just been sitting on our shelf for obviously since we've been living together, but yeah.
Wow.
So that was fun. That was a good time. Yeah. I like that kind of shit.
Hey, have you ever seen Cannibal the Musical?
No. Okay.
Done by same
it's
guys
on my shelf.
who did Orgasmo. I think it's better than Orgasmo.
They made that back in college.
Yeah, well, it was either in college or straight out of college.
Right.
But yeah, it was right when they were starting out.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think Orgasmo was their college project, and then after they stepped out, they did Cannibal the Musical.
I think it's the other way around because they had money behind Orgasmo. They had no money for Cannibal.
Okay. I will definitely check that one out. Okay, let's go back to...
Totally worth it. You'll love it.
I'm sure I will. I freaking loved Orgasmo. Let's go back to 1984 because I know you guys wanted to chat about that.
Real quick. Yeah.
Well, has Greg said what he's watched?
Oh, no. Gregory.
Oddly enough, American Horror Story 1984 is all I have watched.
Oh, okay. So let's talk about
I've
it
been
then.
kind of sucking it in the I've been sucking in the watching content department. So let's talk about that.
Well, what problems do you have with this so far, Patrick? Because you seem, I don't know, I guess how Greg feels about it. But.
To me, it is, it was an issue that Greg brought up that they might do and kind of like throwing everything into the first episode. And I thought they threw a lot into the episode that were all the tropes that we've seen with 1984 horror slasher movies.
Uh-huh.
I want original content, even though they're doing this flashback to the 80s.
Right.
But everything I saw in there, I could have written. You could have written. Greg could have written. Anything like that just by watching a bunch of 80s movies.
Right, yeah.
So I didn't see anything original come out of that. Another thing is I'm not a huge fan of one of the actors. He played the Antichrist in Apocalypse.
I have not.
And you haven't gotten that far into it yet. But it's the bleach blonde guy that...
Bleach blonde guy.
Yeah,
I know you're talking... Was he in the trailer?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's like the real, the preppy douche guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
I know
I'm
what you're
not a big fan of him and what he was doing in this. The whole joke with Matthew Morrison and his junk just doesn't land for me.
Okay.
I know it's supposed to be funny. It's supposed to add some humor to it, but it's just like, really, you know.
Yeah, I got you.
So first episode didn't really grab me. That's why I'm hoping the second episode, which I have DVR'd, will.
Yeah, well, I mean, without spoilers. So I'm digging it just because I'm liking the 80s throwback thing. I told Greg the other day, we were talking about it, I feel like they have too much going on.
Yep.
There's too many storylines going on, and it gets worse in episode 2.
Oh, okay.
They add another one.
Well, I'm looking forward to that then.
They add another one. So, like, it's not like an American Horror Story like Murder House where, like, they have one storyline pretty much going on.
Mm-hmm.
There's not 14 different things to follow. In this, you feel like there's cuts to, like, well, now they're talking about this storyline, and now they're talking about, it's like the Night Stalker, and then it's Mr. Jingles, or whatever the fuck his name was, and then it's, this girl's got this problem, and it's just, there's a lot going on, and it's only 2 episodes in, and so it's like they can't add any more. They gotta just kind of stick with a main.
Oh, you don't think they can add any more?
They shouldn't.
Right.
It's just too much. But I am enjoying the look of it. I'm enjoying the idea of it, and I'll be curious to see where they can ramp things up a little bit. But right now, I haven't bailed on it yet. Greg?
So I definitely agree with you there, Josh. And I think what they're trying to do is something that they did with American Horror Story Asylum was when they kind of started doing that whole, let's bring in a whole bunch of different storylines and try and intertwine them. And they did it, I felt, really well in Asylum. But it feels like every season that they've done that now, it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. And I think that's kind of what's killing this, is they're trying to put in way too much content and trying to just make too many stories intertwine, where if you go back to Murder House, it was based on the family with little offshoot stories that came along with getting to know that family. And they did that really, really well. And I think they need to go more back to that. And that's the hardest part that I'm having with this, is trying to keep up with all the different little nuances and storylines with 1984. 100% agree with you, Josh. It's fun to go back and kind of see the look and the feel. Like it feels familiar. It is a 1980s slasher film done really, really well. The characters I'm not sold on. I'm kind of ready to punch Matthew Morrison in the face because he's just not doesn't belong in there at all. I'm going to hang with it for a little bit. I have a theory worry that it's either going to reel me in or it's going to kick me square in the balls. And I'm leaning towards the second of the two.
Matthew Morrison is actually annoying me the least out of everybody. So
Really?
There's one character, and Patrick hasn't seen episode 2 yet, so...
Is it a character introduced in episode 2, or...
No, it's but something... the way to describe him, something happens to him in episode 2.
Oh, okay.
And I don't want to say it without ruining it,
Sure.
so...
No, Patrick, episode 2 does... I'm sorry, Josh, go ahead.
No. But the guy I was going to mention is probably the most annoying character that I'm just done with already.
Episode 2, I think you'll appreciate. Right off the bat, there's just a gigantic, what the fuck just happened? And I think it'll hold you for a little while.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to hold my breath, though.
You do you. I'm just...
Yeah.
I appreciated the scene.
There's some cool spots in episode 2, so...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, 1984, American Horror Story.
There we go. Our topic is up next, and because Greg came up with this, I'm actually going to turn the reins over to him. Greg, you want to tell everybody what's going on?
Tag in. We've got a really cool opportunity to kind of discuss something that we've been doing for the last 3, 4, 5 years. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that. Every October, we get together and we watch a movie marathon, a horror movie marathon for 31 days of October, because obviously horror movies, October, Halloween, it's all pretty synonymous. And because we are meeting today, 3 days before October 1st, 2 days before, whatever day it is, I thought it'd be a really cool idea to just kind of talk with each one of us and break down exactly what we look for in these, because one of the hardest things about doing the 31 Days of Horror Challenge is coming up with all the movies that you want to watch. You know, if you go in without a plan, you're in trouble. You're going to be digging bottom of the barrel on Amazon Prime, and I promise you it's not good. That was my idea, was to just, I want to hear what people look for when they put together their list, or if they prefer to fly by the seat of their pants and end up in the bottom of the barrel on Amazon Prime. So whoever wants to jump in, go for it.
I feel personally attacked, Greg.
I don't know.
Guys, anyone want to jump in and talk about their list?
For me this year, I've had a different reasoning each year that we've done it. And this year, it's because of what happened last year. Is we got to the end of last year, and I didn't feel I covered enough of movies from that year to speak well enough during the episode where we talk about the best of. Mm-hmm. So this year, all of my movies are centered around movies that came out in 2019 up to that point in October when we do this challenge. So hopefully when December hits and we do our best of 2019, I'll have seen at least enough to have an educated comment.
Now, how many of your 2019 films, Patrick, are indies versus what came out of studio?
About half and half.
Half and half?
I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
so
fair.
so that's my pure reasoning. Like last year, I just wanted to do all movies I'd never seen before.
Right.
And the year before that, I don't even know what. I think it was just, I want to watch a horror movie.
Right.
So yeah, mine's pretty simple, straightforward, and it's just going to help me out in the long run, because then not only do I have to watch 31 movies, but then I would have to watch a bunch of other movies on top of that if I had not caught up with 2019 movies.
Right. Do you have a top 5 that you're excited to?
Oh, let me look at my
watch?
list here. Yeah, Dead Don't Die. I didn't see that when it came out in theaters, and I guess that's coming out this upcoming month.
It's out.
Is it out? Dead. Okay, well, good. Then I'll watch that one. Slaughterhouse Rules, which is a British film.
Simon Pegg, yeah.
With Simon Pegg.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to that one. Dr. Sleep, of course, coming out next month. Zombieland Double Tap.
Yep.
And let's see.
You just mentioned all studio films.
Those are all studio films, but there's like Slasher Party, Piercing,
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Lords of Chaos.
I gotcha. Yeah.
You know, there's some other things in there that I'm looking forward to.
I gotcha.
You got to watch Martyrs this year too.
That I've got to fit that. That's going to be my bonus one. Yeah, because I do have 31 already in my list. Oh, Pet Graveyard is the one I'm really looking forward to.
Are you?
I'm sure that's going to be...
Pet Graveyard actually kind of looks fun.
I mean, come on.
Anytime the movie comes out immediately following, that the hack movie comes out immediately following the Hollywood movie, know it's good. It's good. So that's my reasoning in my picking.
Cool.
I had kind of wanted, because I was in the same situation last year where, like, when it came to picking best of, I had not watched anything from 2018, basically. Here's my problem, though. I'm not paying for shit. I already pay for Netflix. I already pay for Hulu. I already pay for Amazon. I already pay for Amazon Prime, and I'm just, so many of these movies you have to pay extra for or be on another whatever, and I'm just over it. I'm not gonna shell out money to watch a new horror movie. So there's that. I was just kind of, I like to fly off the handle and just kind of pick whatever looks good that day to me. I had kind of wanted, I do have a little bit of a plan of attack this year. If I can get some new movies in, I'm going to do that. Shudder on Amazon Prime has a bunch of really great movies from the 50s and 60s that I've never seen that I've always wanted to see. So I want to watch a good handful of those. And then kind of related to our feature, I have not seen all of the Masters of Horror series, and now that it's on Tubi or Vudu, whichever one, I would really like to finish watching those because I've seen most of them, but there's a couple more I need to pick up on.
Gotcha.
Josh or Greg, you want to?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of did kind of a mix. 90% of what I have on my list is from 2019. And again, it's the same thing kind of that Patrick did. It was like getting to our top 10 and not being as educated, I guess, as I kind of sometimes want to be in making my list. So I chose a lot of 2019 films. With that being said, I chose a lot of 2019 indie films. There are a few on here that are studio films, but a big percentage of these are 2019 indies, which not necessarily will mean they'll end up on my top 10 or anything. But sometimes when you get to your top 10, you go, okay, well, I'm going to put Brightburn and I'm going to put these studio films only in my top 10 versus there's a handful of indies that came out that kind of like Terrifier. Like Terrifier was an indie film, and that made it to the top of a ton of our lists. Mm-hmm. And there's got to be, for every studio film, there's probably 20 Terrifiers out there. So I want to watch more of those. But I do have, there's 3 films on my list that I've already seen. And it's just because of movies I want to watch. And then a couple of studio films on here as well. But I made a list this year. And the last couple years, I have not. I've kind of done what Maddie did, where I was just kind of go, what do I feel like watching today? And then I stare at my TV for about an hour going, I can't pick anything. And then I don't pick something, and then I miss that day. And then that's how I get into, I only watched 17 movies this month. And I get crushed by Greg and Patrick real quick, who finished their 31 days 5 days early. So this year, like I said, I made a list. I have an order, so I just know I don't have to pick a movie. This is the movie I'm watching today. Mm-hmm. So, but looking forward, I did make a 5 list. I'm looking forward to. I have not seen Brightburn yet, so Brightburn is on my list. The Banana Splits is on my list.
It's on my list, baby.
Stephen King's In the Tall Grass comes out next month. It's on my list. There's a movie that's been in my queue for a long time now called Bone Tomahawk. I'm super excited to see that movie. And then some people that I know in Wisconsin made a movie called Gags the Clown. And that just dropped on VOD, and I'm really excited to watch that one. So, yeah, it's a mix this year. I'm pretty excited to follow this list.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and then, I don't know if about you guys, every single year I watch, Trick or Treat for Halloween. So, that's on my... I don't know if that'll be my bonus or if that'll be just part of my 31, because I started a class that has a lab with it, so I might not have 31 movies at the end of this month, but
you can tear through. There's probably at least half those could be Masters of Horror movies, and they're under an hour.
Yeah. Oh yeah, hell yeah. But as I said, I've seen most of them. But yeah, those will be the days that
Right.
Or when I'm like, guys, I watched another 5-minute movie again because I like to half-ass literally my entire life.
And then
Boy,
the three of us are going like, oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Well, y'all can fuck off. None of you said I couldn't do that.
No, we actually said you could do that.
Yeah. It's actually the different
and
approach.
we're all kicking
helps.
ourselves in the balls for not thinking about ourselves.
Right.
Greg, what do you got?
So I kind of go for the mix, and I just changed this up last year because I was the guy who decided to fly by the seat of his pants and just grab whatever horror movie I could find, and ended up watching some really bad ones. So last year was my first year of actually setting up the list, and Josh, that's why I had killed it last year, was because I had my list. I just knocked everything out, and they all fell perfectly into place. When I look to my horror movies that I want to do, I try to do a mixture of a little bit of old, a little bit of new, mostly because there's a lot of old classic horror movies that I have not seen and just have not found time to pull the trigger on because there's so many new things coming out, and I want to stay current, but I want to, it's a giant freaking mess, and there's just not enough hours in the day to be able to watch all these. So I try to combine my list with 2019 horror movies that I haven't seen. So yes, exactly like Patrick said, I can talk intelligently and have an intelligent discussion at the end of the year when we do our best of. But like for this year, there's several movies that I have on my list. Number one is probably the one I'm most excited to see is The Exorcist. I've never seen that, and I'm finally pulling the trigger on it, and it's going to happen. I'm putting it at number one. So I'm sorry. What was that?
Nothing.
I said I was proud. These two.
We're
Thank you.
Yeah, we're skeptical.
I put it number one. I'm going to watch it number one. I promise you that.
Okay.
It's going to happen.
All right.
So that's one I'm really excited about. Another one I'm excited to check out is 1978's Dawn of the Dead. I've seen the remake, and I love the remake, and so the original can only be better than that, right? I'm checking out Texas Chainsaw Massacre for the first time. I'm looking forward to watching High Tension for the first time, and just a bunch of other ones on here. And I haven't gone through the 2019 list that I want to watch quite yet, but that's kind of what I look to build my list on is seen and then or stuff that I haven't seen, and then on the back end just to kind of be able to coast out and enjoy the last few days of the 31 Days of Horror. There's movies that I have to watch around Halloween. I mean, it's like Christmas. There's movies you have to watch around Christmas. There's movies you have to watch around Halloween. So I have The Strangers is on my list. It's a yearly watch. Nightmare on Elm Street is a yearly watch. Obviously, Halloween, I watch on Halloween. I can't get around those. Those are tradition for me, and I don't bunk tradition. So that's really what I look for when I do my 31 days list.
Greg has a movie on his list that I'm really looking forward to reading and hearing his thoughts on, because it's actually one of my favorite watches. On his list, he's got Adam Green's movie Frozen, and so I'm really curious to see what he thinks of that movie.
You've plugged that movie multiple times.
I love that movie.
I'm excited to check it out because it sounds like it's an interesting concept, kind of along the same lines as Buried, just in the air.
Yeah, kind of, maybe, kind of.
Buried, the Ryan Reynolds one.
Yes.
What's that?
Okay, I was going to say Buried is the Ryan one. Reynolds one.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
So yeah, I just
no, okay. You're talking about Ryan Reynolds.
I am. I am severely claustrophobic, so I do try to not watch shit like that because I just get uncomfortable, which I understand is the point.
Yeah.
Frozen is the one where they're trapped on the ski lift.
They're trapped on the ski lift, up in the air, yeah. So it's a really cool concept. It's done really well. I actually threw it on my list because I was like, "Fuck it." If Greg's watching Frozen, I'm watching Frozen.
We are not talking about the Disney movie, everybody.
No, that's why I said Adam Green's Frozen.
It's a completely different horror story.
Oh God, yes.
But yeah, I was excited to see that on Greg. I was excited to see that on Greg's list because I was like, "Yeah, I want to hear his thoughts."
I'm just gonna say it right now. I'd rather be kicked in the face than ever watch Disney's Frozen again.
I have a daughter, so I watched that movie 30,000 times.
I'm really sorry.
It is what it is.
Watch Moana. It's better than Frozen.
Yeah, I just kind of stay away from Disney altogether. That's not my vibe.
You will not be subscribing to Disney Plus?
Okay. No, but my boyfriend's going to because you can get like a package with Hulu, and he likes like the Marvel shit that's on the Disney streaming thing. I will probably never click on it because I don't really watch anything Marvel. I don't like any of the new Star Wars stuff, and yeah.
Gotcha.
I don't have children, and one of the reasons I don't is because I don't want to watch Disney movies anymore.
Cool, but yeah, I'm really excited about. I look forward to the 31 Days of Horror Challenge every year. As much as it wants to, make you bang your head against the wall, it's a nice little. I don't know if you guys see it as competition, but I don't see it as a competition at all. It's just a nice little thing, I guess, to challenge yourself.
Well, everybody, make sure you listen to us going forward with our 31 Days of Horror. Let us know if you're watching anything for Halloween. But we are going to move on to our feature film.
I was just going to add real quick before we go to the feature film. Follow us on Facebook because we do add little paragraph reviews of the movies that we do watch.
Oh yeah, I forgot we do that.
We should open that
and
to
ratings.
Open invitation for anybody that watches something. If you want to jump on our Facebook page, even if you don't watch 31 of them, just drop your film and a little synopsis and a snippet and your knowledge on the movie, and let us know what you're watching. Because play along, it's a fun fucking game for 31 days.
Oh yeah. Well, we're gonna move on to our
play game.
We're going to move on to our feature. I picked it, which is why I'm hosting. I chose the movie Cigarette Burns, which is part of the Masters of Horror series. You can find it streaming for free on Tubi or Vudu. It is part of the Masters of Horror series, so if you are interested in checking it out, make sure you search for Masters of Horror instead of Cigarette Burns.
Yeah, like my dumbass did.
That was totally on me. Patrick, you got some deets?
Yes, John Carpenter's Cigarette Burns 2005, part of the Masters of Horror series. Running 59 minutes, and like Maddie said, you can find it on Tubi TV. With a torrid past that haunts him, a movie theater owner is hired to search for the only existing print of a film so notorious that its single screening caused the viewers to become homicidally insane. Doesn't that sound like a Netflix movie? Like they watched this Netflix movie that they couldn't sleep after?
Yeah, this was the original Tiffany reporting on Netflix movies.
Yeah,
Karen's.
There you go.
Did we decide on Karen?
We decided on Karen.
Fucking
Karen.
Damn it, Josh. The IMDb rating is 7.6, and that's the only rating I could find. Neither Metascore or Rotten Tomatoes had anything on it for them. I assume it's because it's a series as opposed to a movie.
Cool.
Yeah, I actually had no idea it was a series because, back when movie stores existed, they had like individual, like actual DVDs for these, and it wasn't part of like a series. It was like you rented one movie, they presented it as one movie. So I knew they were kind of doing it as like a thing, but originally when like Family Video existed, these were separate movies.
Oh, yeah. Oh, these Masters of Horror movies were separate. Gotcha. I forgot about that, yeah.
Who wants to start?
Yeah, who wants to kick us off?
Well, yeah, so real quick, I'll jump right in. I don't know, whatever.
This is the energy gas.
Yeah, no. I don't like to step on toes. I'm a fan of the Masters of Horror series. I do have my favorites. I had never seen Cigarette Burns. I knew nothing about it. What is he doing over there?
I don't know.
He's like making fart noises with his mouth.
One of these days he's going to come on.
Noises from Greg.
And he's going to have the the little ratchet things that you play with at New Year's Eve. Yeah.
I had never seen Cigarette Burns, but I saw while watching the beginning that is directed by John Carpenter, so I was like really stoked about that because John Carpenter fan. I knew nothing about it, so I saw Norman Reedus. This is like pre-Walking Dead. This is like Boondock Saints. Norman Reedus.
It's like in between, yeah.
Yeah, so that was really cool to see his some early stuff from him. Jennifer, remember Jennifer and Dear Woman are two of my favorite Master of Horror movies. I thought those are some of the better ones. But Cigarette Burns I liked for the most part. I liked the idea of it. It was super simple. It seemed really easy. I didn't like I didn't understand the girlfriend ghost aspect of it. I thought that was kind of a weird part in the movie that wasn't really needed to drive that movie. Because I know they talked a lot about like as he started working on finding this movie that I can't pronounce, so I'm not going to try, that he'd start to go like crazy. But like that whole girlfriend side story thing started happening before he went to look for this movie. So I was a little bit like that stuff wasn't needed at all. But so the cast was really good. The idea is really good. I liked it. So that was a good pick.
I was excited too when I saw that this was a Carpenter project and that Norman Reedus was attached to it, because two people I like watching their stuff. However, I felt that this one kind of suffered from almost too much exposition. In a way, there was a lot of dialogue throughout this thing that I think could have been handled, or we could have gotten more content if they took out some of the dialogue.
Gotcha.
You knew what he was doing. He was assigned to go find this film. Go do it. We didn't need everything to explain all of it. We knew it was a film that had this adverse effect on people, that they ended up killing each other. It was a slaughter at the film festival it showed at. So we knew what was going to happen there. So I didn't need as much dialogue explaining what had happened or why it happened. Just find it, let shit happen. So I think they could have had more gore in this film. I thought there was a good amount of gore. Mm-hmm. It's 2005. We can spoil this. So okay. The beheading was pretty gruesome.
Yeah.
And there was plenty of blood and everything like that. So I felt they could have incorporated a lot more of that. The performances I thought were really good. I thought Norman Reedus did a really nice job. The other thing that kind of took me out of this was the ring of fire that showed up once in a while. It just seemed like it was an overlay on top.
Yeah.
And it looked like an Adobe After Effect thrown on top of... And in 2005, it probably was just that. Because I'm sure they were hindered by budget and everything else since it was a series. But it just took me out of it. It didn't seem like it was a flashback. It didn't seem like something that happened to them. It just seemed like something that was overlaid on top of the screen, and then they had a reaction to it. So that kind of took me out of it. But all that being said, I did enjoy it. It was an easy 59-minute movie. Mm-hmm. It didn't really feel that long. Felt like half hour to 40 minutes. And no, I did enjoy it, though.
Do you think they needed that dialogue in there to stretch that movie out
for time? But see, that's what I'm saying, that if they could have taken the dialogue out and added more stuff.
Gotcha.
That he had to me, he got to that film really quick. Mm-hmm. There wasn't enough digging. You know, he wasn't dealing with enough people going from place to place to place. He stopped at 2 places and then he had the film.
Yeah, for a film that could never be found, he found it pretty
fucking quick. Yeah. I mean, he stopped at the French place. He stopped at the place where the snuff film was made, and then the director's wife. Yeah, and then he had the film. Yeah. There just wasn't enough going on.
Yeah. What I did like, though, too, is that they showed clips from the film, because they could have easily just been like, don't show anything, because people could judge us really quick on like, this shit's not fucking scary at all. There's nothing fucked up about this movie. Why are people killing themselves because they're watching this movie? And they could have easily just danced around it and not shown anything, but they did show clips from the film, so I did like they did that.
And it was nice that it tied in with the pseudo angel, whatever that creature was, because that part was in the film, and then you had that creature.
Yes, yeah.
You know, that
what was that about, though?
Who the fuck knows?
No. But do you think that was like a whole like? I felt like I wanted it to be some like mind control thing that this death angel had convinced this other guy that he needed to see this movie. And so he hired Norman Reedus to go find this movie, knowing full well that when he brought it back, this guy would kill himself. And then all of a sudden the reel is in his hands. And now he's in control of this reel. And so like that's how I like put things together in my brain. Like, because I was like, why else did this guy leave with the reel at the end of the movie without having some sort of like convincing the other guy that he needed to
I
see
figured
it.
he wouldn't give a shit about the movie. Go grab his wings off the wall,
Right.
stick him back on his back, and fly away.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I thought that was something that had to happen, that he had to get his wings back or something, but that just never came through. He just grabbed the... Yeah.
And then the Asian guy, I think it was Asian guy that just
stabbed his eyes out.
Yeah, and then uncuffed
the
that
butler?
guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
The butler, uncuffed him. I said randomly, all of a sudden, just uncuffing him after however long he's been locked up there, and all of a sudden he's going to let him go now. So there's a few things in there. I was like, what the fuck is going on right now? But
to be fair, I don't think they gave these guys a lot of time to make this. I kind of think they had a challenge to make it in a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So I can kind of see maybe being like, I don't fucking know, just put it in there.
right.
Or it was one of those things, you know, they had to do it between projects that they were working on. So, yeah. So there may have been a time constraint.
Greg.
So just to kind of riff off of what Josh is talking about there with the weird angel of death or whatever that was, I originally thought that was going to be the director who had supposedly died and disappeared, and he became this creature after creating this film. That obviously didn't pan out, spoilers, but I felt like it was so I don't know if anybody else kind of had that feeling.
No. I thought the guy just died and disappeared.
Okay. I actually wish I hadn't seen any of the movie, Josh, that you were talking about. They had shown some of the scenes of it, kind of like a monster movie. You know, you get this thing built up so much in your head of what would be put on screen that would turn these people to slaughter themselves and to kill each other or whatever. And I almost didn't want to see what that would turn out to be, because whatever I imagined in my mind was so much more than what they would probably put on screen. And for me, that's kind of how it came out. One of the biggest things that I noticed about cigarette burns, and I don't know if anybody else kind of caught this or fell along with this as well, was this is a movie from the same vein as In the Mouth of Madness.
I can
Anybody
see that.
else
Yeah.
feel that way?
Yeah, I can see that.
I felt like there was a lot of similar tones that went along with it. Kind of waiting for Sam Neill to pop out on some occasions. But while it kept my interest the entire time, I had a hard time separating the two of those. And granted, it's John Carpenter, and I think it goes along more with the theory that they had a limited amount of time to put this together, or like Patrick said, they were making this film during or in between times when they were working on projects or something like that. And so he kind of took a very similar aspect of In the Mouth of Madness and created this new spin on it. And so that was the hardest thing for me to really enjoy this movie. However, I did enjoy it a lot. So don't get me wrong there. Cinematography was awesome. Norman Reedus knocked it out of the park. I thought he did a fantastic job. The horror in the movie was absolutely exactly what it needed to be. Just a really, really good story all along. And even when you got to the end, you almost wanted to know what happened after he saw the cigarette burn and ended up sitting in the movie theater unconscious for a little while. You know, what had happened in between the 2 points. And that was really all that I had come up with. You know, just really, really enjoyed it. Again, still loving John Carpenter and everything that he's done. So great choice, Maddie. Really, really like this one.
Awesome. I'll just really quickly talk about kind of why I picked this film. Couple reasons. First of all, this sounds like the trash ass thing I would do the second someone's like, oh, this movie like made people vomit. I'm like, yeah, buddy, and I will go watch it. I also love me a short movie, and I really, really like the concept of the Masters of Horror. I think it's cool to take people who have just made their name doing this stuff and then being like, okay, you have an hour, like, to make this movie.
Did they really spread out the directors though? Like, it's Mick Garris and John Carpenter, and like it's...
They had Toby Hooper made one from Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah.
Stuart Gordon made one. Stuart Gordon's is really weird. They did get like quite a few people.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you how long this went on. I feel like it had a couple seasons.
Right.
But I kind of just liked the whole premise, and as I said, I liked this movie a lot. I thought a lot of the imagery was really fun. I kind of thought it was like a cool version of The Ring.
Okay.
With a haunted videotape and stuff.
Yeah.
I really wish Norman Reedus would wash his hair at least once this decade, but we'll see. Yeah, no, I just think this movie's fun, and as I said, I am loving an hour-long movie. Right. I think it takes a lot more to make a shorter movie than to make... Because, like, if you have a 3-hour movie, you can have as much explanation and shenanigans and whatever you want in there to tie everything together. Right. But if you have, like, 45 minutes or an hour, you have 45 minutes or an hour. Right. So, does anyone else have any more thoughts on this one, or we're going to start wrapping up?
Yeah, I'm pretty...
I think that's pretty much it for me.
Okay. We rate on 3 things. We have fear factor, we have the gore score, and we have the overall rating. Let's go ahead and do fear factor real quick. Greg, you want to start?
Fear factor, I would mark it maybe a 2 or 3. There's there's some thrill in it, but I've never really felt any fear factor at all. So I think a 2 or a 3 is pretty solid.
Okay. Patrick?
It's pretty low for me. I didn't really feel tension, fear, or anything like that. So it's a 1 for me.
Yeah, I sat in that 2-3 spot also. So
yeah, I would say one over here. Let's do gore score. Greg again.
I give it a 7 or an 8. You know, based on that axe, or not the axe, the machete head cut off scene. That was pretty intense. And then Asian Alfred throwing the knife into his eyes.
Asian Alfred.
I'm going to sit on an 8.
I mean, yeah. Are we not going to talk about the guy fed his intestines?
His intestines. That sounds good. I was going to bring that one up.
That was the other one. I knew I was missing something.
Yeah, stuck his intestines into the movie reel.
Patrick.
Because of that, that's why I was going to bring that up. Because of that, I'm giving it a 7 because of the decapitation, feeding the intestines, the guy gouging his own eyes out. Yeah, I think there was enough in there to warrant a 7.
Yeah, 7's definitely one of the bloodier films we watched lately, I feel like. So I think 7 is definitely fair to give it.
Yeah, I'll give this one a 6 or 7. I think a lot of the horror or the violence in it was pretty extreme. I normally don't see people disembowel themselves in movies, but shit happens. Let's do overall score. Greg again.
7.
7?
I really enjoyed this one.
Okay.
I'm going a bit lower than that just because I'm just jumping back to that whole exposition thing. I think they could have dropped the dialogue. It would have been only a 45-minute movie, but fill it in with other stuff that really would mean more visually into it. So I'm gonna put it right in the middle at 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say for cigarette burns, I was gonna give a 6. The Masters of Horror overall, I'll probably give an 8. I like that series a lot. They have some really good stuff. I just didn't think Cigarette Burns was one of the stronger ones that I had seen. So 6.
Yeah, I'll give it 7 or 8. This is a favorite of mine and one I recommend to a lot of people. So awesome. Obviously, we all really liked it. So if you want to check it out, Cigarette Burns will probably be on Tubi TV for a while. And you can check out the rest of the Masters of Horror there. We are getting toward the end of our cast, so everybody pimp themselves out. That's plugs.
Pimp. Greg?
I'm Greg the Movie Guy, and I'm positively writing movie reviews over at gregthemovieguy.com.
Yeah, we are 2 weeks out from the Prairie Lakes Film Festival in Grand Island, Nebraska at the historic Grand Theater. It's October 11th, 12th, and 13th. We'll be out there. It's a good time. Every year we go out there, and it gets better and better. So we'll be out there podcasting. That's where our next podcast will come from. I don't know if we'll drop that as a bonus episode or if we really...
It'll be a bonus episode, and it may come out after the next one, though.
Okay.
Just because of the amount of time it takes to edit that one, because it's a long one.
Yeah, it's a long one.
It's a 3-hour tour.
But yeah, we'll be podcasting out there. We'll be talking about everybody's films that are made right here in Nebraska and talking with different indie filmmakers, and we usually talk to Matt, who runs the festival. It's always a good time, so... It's $10 for a whole weekend, $5 for a day. You get a whole bunch of stuff with it, and it's a good time. So if you're out and about and you're around Grand Island, come out and check out some Nebraska-made films and hang out with us.
All right. Well, if you're a fan of the Frightcast, make sure that you head on over to iTunes or whatever platform you're listening to us on, and make sure that you rate and review us. Also, make sure to check us out online with the social medias. And all you have to do is search for Midnight Frightcast. And then finally, check out our films at midnightfrightfilms.com.
All right, everybody, thank you for joining us on this Sunday afternoon. From myself, Greg, Patrick, and Josh, we thank you for listening to the Midnight Frightcast. God, I gotta pee.
Oh, please tell me we're still rolling.
Oh, we're still rolling.
Oh, yeah.
For that.